started organized team activities, and there was a noticeable absence. Running back James Cook, who also missed April's OTAs. He's heading into the final year of his rookie deal, and he wants a new one. Here's his head coach, Sean McDermott, talking about his leading rusher's absence.
Yeah, we're staying in touch, like you'd expect a player and a coach to do. So, you know, James will be here when he's ready to be here, and you know, we move forward.
And there it is, a reminder that these are voluntary workouts. We bring in our NFL reporter, Jeff Darlington, who has much more. He'll be there when he's there. What are you hearing out of Bill's camp surrounding James Cook?
Well, to your point, James Cook is not there, and the only player, as Sean McDermott put it, that is not there who is healthy. And this is about the contract. This is about the running back market in general. He has seen players like Saquon Barkley get paid. The running back market seems to, at least from a pendulum standpoint, be swinging back in a good direction to get some of these guys paid, like James Cook, who is so critical to this offense, looking at upwards of $15 million per year. Brandon Beane, the general manager of the Bills, is the type of GM who's going to pay the players who mean the most to him, but he's also not one to simply pay him for no reason. I do think, though, that this will get done. It's a matter of when, and it would not surprise me if it's done before training camp.
All right, so if he does get that $15 million per year that he's looking for, it would tie him for third most with Derrick Henry. Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley make more. In terms of where he sits right now, James Cook ranks 50th in average per year, so it would be a significant jump. All right, another OTA absence happening down in Atlanta, and I'm talking about Kirk Cousins. The team and quarterback willing to part ways after he lost the starting job to Michael Penix Jr., but a trade's complicated by one reason. Well, 27 million reasons, because that's what he's guaranteed this season. What more, Jeff Darlington, can you tell us about where things stand between the two?
Well, it's even more complicated because the Falcons haven't really budged at all this offseason on the idea of simply unloading him for nothing. Raheem Morris saying that no, Kirk Cousins was not there. He was not in meetings. He did not see him at OTAs. And clearly we can see the writing on the wall here. Michael Penix Jr. is the starting quarterback moving forward. Kirk Cousins doesn't love the idea of that at this stage of his career, regardless of the money that he is currently guaranteed. So, of course, we know where this ultimately is headed. They will look for a trade suitor at some point, even though at this point the Atlanta Falcons are holding firm and making very clear they are not just going to unload him for nothing. They want to get something in return.
A reminder that we are just 14 months removed from him signing that 4-year, $180 million pact with the Falcons. That also includes a no-trade clause and is worth $100 million guaranteed. Kirk Cousins has the greatest agent I've ever seen in my life. Jeff Darlington, thank you.
Started OTAs today without knowing whether Aaron Rodgers will play for them. For now, Mason Rudolph is the starting quarterback. He talked about the situation hanging over his head.
Well, that's nothing new to me. There's been constant noise. That is the nature of the NFL. So I am been used to that for a long time now. Do nothing but be the best I can be and help our team get better this spring.
Our quarterback, Tim Hasselbeck, joining us now to break this down. Tim, how do you see this quarterback room playing out in Pittsburgh this upcoming season?
You know, we're predicting the future a little bit here in terms of Aaron Rodgers joining the Steelers, but I think that's what's going to happen, Kevin. I just feel like when you look at the Steelers' moves this offseason, they've kind of pointed to the confidence that they have that Aaron wants to play and that'll end up a Steeler. He's met with Mike Tomlin. He's visited the facility. He's thrown with members of their team. I just think that's the expectation. And I think it's okay to wait until training camp for him to show up. He's played a couple decades in the NFL. He'll go down as one of the all-time greats. You know, some guys kind of earn the right to do that. And quite frankly, it's better than their current options. Look, Mason Rudolph, I think probably would play better than most people would think. But he can't be the solution for the Steelers. And Mike Tomlin, who's probably under a little bit of heat in terms of, lack of postseason success that they've had in recent years. And so Aaron Rodgers makes sense both for Rodgers and for the Steelers.
And it feels like everybody, all the parties understand they're not getting the Aaron Rodgers that we saw who was an MVP. Rodgers finished 25th in the NFL in total QBR last season, the second worst mark of his career. Now, let's go to another situation, and the Panthers are hoping their quarterback situation is settled after Bryce Young finished much stronger than how his sophomore season started. The former #1 pick overall was benched in Week 3, returned in Week 8. Here's Young today on this offseason.
It's been great again, just being able to start at a higher level. Now I'm in the off season, being able to focus on growth rather than learning. Focus on knowing what's expected, knowing exactly the things that you've done well and you have to continue to do well, things to improve on. You look at all those things and you kind of just have that goal and that goalpost throughout the off season, and you have things that you could target to work on. You have the conversations with the coaches, and you know what to expect, and because of that you have such a more clear direction.
The maturity right there. He always says the right things and with the right tone. Now, what are your expectations on the field for Young entering the season?
I think he'll pick up from, what we saw at the end of last season, Kevin. I agree with you. The soundbite is perfect. Talking about growth, talking about maturity. I will just say this, the appreciation that locker room is going to have for a guy that was benched. And rather than, taking his ball and going home, he learned from it. He watched Andy Dalton. He grew and matured as a player. And when he got his opportunity again, he took it and ran with it. And I think the Panthers feel like they have their franchise quarterback because of it. That means a lot. Like, we talk a lot about X's and O's, but I think the grit, the resolve, the ability to kind of overcome the adversity in your career, what that will do for him as a leader, I think is going to help him as much as, the X's and O's growth and how comfortable he is in the offense. So I expect him to play well. I expect him to kind of build on what, he started at the end of the last season, and I expect his team to really respond to it.
When a locker room believes in a young quarterback, it changes everything. Young had multiple passing touchdowns, no picks over the final 3 games last season. They went 2-1 in those games. Tim, thank you so much.
In the air, of course, it's time to talk about football, but then again, when isn't it? 100 days to the NFL opener. Cowboys at the champion Eagles on Thursday night, September 4th. Philly starts organized team activities today. Dallas has already started. They resume tomorrow. We welcome in our NFL reporter, Jeff Darlington. And Darlington, look, 100 days out, off season's just about over, but still some contracts up in the air right now. What's the latest on Kirk Cousins and OTAs underway in Atlanta?
Yeah, certainly interesting. Obviously, the Falcons moving away from Kirk Cousins last season to Michael Penix Jr. as their starting cornerback. As such, now Kirk Cousins, a no-show at the start of these organized team activities. Looking like he does not want to be with the Falcons anymore. You can understand why at this point. He feels like he has been replaced. Now the question, of course, is can the Falcons trade him? They have made clear at this point that they are staying firm. They're certainly not looking to unload him for pennies on the dollar. They want to make sure that if they do get something for him, because as they learned last year, it is important to not just have one quarterback. Aaron Rodgers also a player that we are clearly watching very closely to see if he will eventually sign with the Steelers, who have Mason Rudolph essentially slated as their Week 1 starter at this point. From my conversations, the Steelers do still feel confident that Aaron Rodgers will wind up as their quarterback. But again, until Rodgers signs that deal, until he says he is coming to the team, obviously we will be waiting and wondering if it will be the case.
Yeah, Pittsburgh fans hopefully not holding their breath for that one. OTAs also underway in Buffalo. A few players not participating today. So what's the latest on James Cook?
Yeah, a couple reasons for the lack of participation. James Cook, the only player who's not there, who is healthy and not reporting. Now, this is a contract situation with James Cook. He wants to get paid. He has seen Saquon Barkley get paid. He has seen other players be rewarded at his position, and he is looking for upwards of $15 million at the position. Now, of course, the question becomes, will the Bills go ahead and sign him by the time training camp rolls around? We know of his importance and his value to this team. And Brandon Beane generally does pay the players that mean the most. Joey Bosa, a tough one here, injured his calf and now expected to be ready for training camp, but we will not be seeing him out there until then. Sean McDermott pretty much confirming as much, that he will miss all of OTAs dealing with that injury.